With Justice League finally hitting the big screen this weekend, we figured now was a good time to take a look back at DC's long history in the cinemas. While there have, for sure, been some amazing films such as Superman, The Dark Knight, and Wonder Woman, there have also been some duds. However, a lot of the problems with these films kind of just boils down to one or two poor decisions by the filmmakers. So in honor of Justice League, let's take a look at some of the worst mistakes in DC films. If you enjoy this video, be sure to subscribe and click the bell to be notified when we upload new content. It makes sense for us to start with DC's first attempt at launching a new modern franchise. Now, as a huge Green Lantern fan, this film just hurts to watch. In addition to all the problems that people harp on, like the weak acting and horrible CGI suit, perhaps the biggest problem with this film is the missed opportunity. See, the thing about the Green Lantern Corps is that they're effectively just space cops. So why not just do a buddy cop film with ring slingers? All the makings were there. You've got the grizzled old vet with Sinestro, the hotshot newbie with Hal Jordan, and they could even have just kept Parallax as the villain, just play up the deaths of the Lanterns as a sort of a murder mystery. If you want to see a good example of this kind of idea, just check out the DC animated film Green Lantern: First Flight. Instead though, we got another by-the-numbers superhero origin film, which just didn't turn out very well. Speaking of missed opportunities, we have perhaps the most forgotten DC film of all time, 1984's Supergirl. Yeah, I forgot about it too before I started working on this list. While I could sit here and talk about how the film does a disservice to a character who, in my opinion, is much more interesting than Superman, instead let's talk about the complete lack of supes in this film. Originally, Christopher Reeve was supposed to appear in the film, but he dropped out early on. Now, for a film that is technically part of the same series as Superman 1 through 4, it is extremely disconnected, and an appearance by what might be the most iconic version of Superman to ever grace the silver screen could have garnered a much needed link to the other films, as well as some credibility. Probably why it's often forgotten. Well, that and it's bad. In 1989, Tim Burton's Batman took long strides away from the campier style of the 1960s Adam West series, and went to a much darker and down-to-earth place. With Batman Returns, they continued down that path. With the next two films, well, not so much. See, Batman Returns created a few problems for Warner Brothers and DC, mainly the fact that making toys based off of such a gritty film was difficult, to say the least. So with the next films in the franchise, Tim Burton was out, and in his place was Joel Schumacher, who had absolutely no qualms about bringing the camp back. This hit a fever pitch with Batman and Robin, which was a mess of neon colors, puns, and dumbed-down Bane, along with many different costume changes and vehicles, all made for the purpose of selling toys. The fourth film was so badly received that the series went dormant until Christopher Nolan once again brought Batman back, darkness and all, in Batman Begins. Finally, the dawn of justice. Now, I'm not gonna harp on the Martha thing, I get what they were trying to do there. Now, instead, we should talk about the other glaring problem with the third act. BVS was a film that was very heavily based off of several comic book storylines, most notably The Dark Knight Returns. The third act, however, tries desperately to shoehorn in some parts of the death of Superman, giving us Doomsday. Kind of. Turns out Doomsday is some sort of weird hybrid thing created by mixing the DNA of Lex Luthor with Zod's corpse, and presumably some Steppenwolf influence, which any comic fan will tell you is not in any way how the big guy came about. So not only do we get one of the most iconic Superman villains introduced out of seemingly nowhere in the last 30 minutes of the film, but they manage to completely screw up his origin. And then they kill him at the end, so we get basically zero time with him. And they do nothing to build him up as any sort of threat outside of just being a big, bad, scary dude. That is hashtag not my Doomsday. What do you think was the biggest mistake in a DC film? Which ones were the most glaring? Let us know in the comments down below. And if you're watching this on Facebook, be sure to click the link to jump over to our YouTube channel for more videos like this one. Thanks for watching.